Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video on my channel. This one is gonna be interesting. We are talking about the NASCAR All-Star Race. Welcome to the channel. If you are seeing this because you watched the All-Star Race and want to hear somebody's opinion on it, you know what happened. We're gonna talk about it. That was awful. But not awful because the racing was bad, awful on NASCAR's part. And you know what I'm talking about, the ending where Ryan Blaney was going to win the race by 3 seconds over Denny Hamlin and company, and they throw a caution, a phantom caution, really, for no reason, just because they wanted a more exciting finish to probably one of the most boring races I've seen in a long time, especially for what this new car is supposed to bring to NASCAR. Every race has been pretty good this year. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the All-Star race, but this one was awful. And there are a few reasons. The ending was bad. The race was boring, and the favorites wrecked early. So let's talk about it. Ryan Blaney was going to win the race by 3 seconds. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the backstretch. I mean, kisses the wall. It was literally like a peck. You know, like that first date kind of awkward second, third, whatever you kiss your girlfriend. It was just like a peck. That is what Ricky Stenhouse did to the wall in the backstretch, and then he just stopped for whatever reason. NASCAR was like, "Hey, dude, just stop the car so we can throw the caution." Blaney was literally 100 feet from the line, and he thought he'd won the race. The crew chief, the pit crew was celebrating in the pit road. They were jumping up and down, hugging each other. They just won $1 million. And then NASCAR says, yeah, we threw the caution. We're going to restart it. We're going to rile them up back. We're going to go again. And Blaney was like, are you serious? Like, he was literally this far from the end. And he threw his window net down. He took his window net down. He was, celebrating. And they had to redo it. Now, here's my thought. And, I mean, if you don't have this thought, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because we can talk about it in the comments, but it's a very hot take. If you would have thought, one, if Ryan Blaney didn't deserve to win it right then by the caution coming out, that's a whole different story. But two, if NASCAR was not going to let him fix that, are you kidding me? I personally am of the belief NASCAR didn't care that Ryan Blaney was going to win the race. It wasn't a target against him, but it was, man, NASCAR control is sitting up there like, this race is boring. We need to make it exciting. And they put a clause in there that the race has to finish under green. If it finishes under anything else, caution, whatever. I mean, that's the only other option. It would be redone. You'd redo it, overtime rules. So it wasn't an attack on Blaney, but if they were not going to let Blaney fix his window net because he could not get it back up by himself, I'm not actually sure how he got it, fastened. If he just kind of put the stick in there and just yanked it tight, or what he did. But that was going to be the bigger issue if NASCAR didn't allow him to fix it. And if he had to come down pit road and somebody was going to have to, actually strap it in there, if he wouldn't have gotten that spot back, that is when you would have had people exploding. And I know Twitter was already exploding in the 30 seconds that the race ended, because it was awful. This was a stunt by NASCAR, and I honestly can say I'm 22 years old. I've been watching NASCAR for the last 15 years of my life. Not that I can remember all of those years, but this has got to be one of the worst, if not the worst, stunt NASCAR has ever pulled with cautions. One, you could argue that this was a boring race. You need to make it exciting, and it was a clause. I mean, NASCAR literally could have thrown the caution for whatever reason, and since a car touched the wall, that was a reason. So, that makes sense from that standpoint. But back in the day, Gen 6 cars, specifically early Gen 6, there were two things that happened. One, they would throw cautions for whatever reason. Literally some debris would be on the track, and they would throw a caution because those races were boring. They were single file, especially around Texas. I think Texas is the problem. We all know that. But the reason they would throw these cautions to stack everybody back up. And, they'd throw a phantom caution for debris because they wanted to create some more excitement. That was one thing they did. And second, they added stages. The reason they added stages was because there was no real reason to like there was no cautions in the middle. Kyle Busch would lead every single lap, green to green, a couple of green flag pit stops maybe, or if a caution came out. So they added stages to rile everybody back up again and make it more exciting. This was by 10,000 times worse than that because they know how bad it is. And like I said, I think it's Texas. I know it's Texas. We race at mile-and-a-half tracks, most weeks. Intermediate tracks, mile to mile-and-a-half tracks. That's the bread and butter of NASCAR. Kansas, last week, was exciting. I mean, even the battle between Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch, exciting. Tonight, of course, you had Chase Elliott come back and he was making some rounds, was trying to catch Kyle Busch, and then of course they all wreck. So that, took some guys out and a guy didn't win. But, I mean, that was the most exciting part of the race was when Chase Elliott, caught 8 positions in the first couple of laps of the stage. That was it. Kansas last week, completely different. Las Vegas earlier in the season, completely different. I mean, even Phoenix. Phoenix was probably one of the more boring races of the season too, but even that was more exciting as a mile track because you have the dog leg and things. This mile-and-a-half track, and compare this race. I mean, just think about it here. We raced at Kansas last week, and Kansas was exciting. I mean, Kansas was probably a 9 out of 10 race. You look at this race, probably honestly like a 3 out of 10, and that caution with Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Ross Chastain was the most exciting thing, obviously. But then I think even look at next week with Charlotte. I know that Charlotte, wasn't it repaved a while ago? It's a lot newer than Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I honestly will mark my words, that will be a more exciting race. Texas is the problem, and that is something that's going to have to be addressed. My personal opinion would be get rid of it. I would much rather go see, honestly, any other race. But, I mean, the Daytona road course was taken off the schedule. Indianapolis was taken off the schedule. I think Dover only has 1 race now. Miami, they could add another race there. I mean, honestly, put the race anywhere, even if it's the All-Star race. Texas needs to lose its dates because this is not something that I want to see in the playoffs. 1, because it's going to be a playoff race come the playoffs in October and November. But 2, that was awful, and I don't ever want to see something like that again. Yeah, I mark my words, next week will be better. So Ryan Blaney gets the win, though. That's what, for the last 7 minutes, I've just kind of rambled about it. That's what matters, though. Ryan Blaney gets the win, and that is exciting. That's what we needed to see. Because if he didn't, there might not be another NASCAR race. I honestly believe that since this was that bad of a call, there might not be a NASCAR as a sport after this if that was overturned. And again, I don't think it was to target Blaney. Blaney was just the car, he was the rat that got poisoned, or I don't know how the saying goes. The fish that got caught, I don't know. But I don't think they were targeting him for Hamlin to win or Cindric or anything. That was such a boring race. They needed something to make it better. And it didn't make it better at all. But that's all I got for you guys today. Just a little rant excitement that happened out of such a boring race. I hope next week is better. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments, because I'm sure you have the same ones as me and all of Twitter. So just thought I'd vocalize them and put them on YouTube. I'm not mad at NASCAR. I just want it to be fixed because we're all NASCAR fans, and they need to be held accountable for their mistakes and bad decisions. So we'll see you next week. Bye.